I'm going to be knocking out a few videos tonight. Okay, so week 5 is officially in the books. There's still 2 undefeated teams, and it's still the Rams and it's still Kansas City. So, let's see. Thursday night, New England and Indianapolis played. Now, this is kind of a particular game that Kansas City fans need to look at because New England scored 38 in the past 2 games, which is pretty damn good. Now, they gave more to the Colts than they did the Dolphins, which I thought was weird. But divisional games are weird. And we're not a divisional team, but they did play at Indianapolis. Now, Indianapolis turned over the ball a shit ton, and I think that's what really ultimately cost them the game. They still got beat pretty handily, but there was a couple times where they was actually pretty close, and then they threw a pick that went all the way back to their own 20. They shot themselves in the foot in that game. I felt like they could have had a chance. And anyways, now this is an interesting game for Chiefs fans because the Patriots. This means the Patriots had from Thursday night all the way until Sunday night to prepare for a 5-0 team, where Kansas City played on Sunday. So they got a whole 3-day rest that we didn't after winning. So they got 3 days to prepare that we didn't. But they ended up winning Thursday night. They're starting to get hot again. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. Moving on into Sunday. Buffalo beat Tennessee 13-12. Okay. Carolina barely got past the Giants, 33-31. They kicked a 63-yarder to win that game. Good Lord, man. That's a leg. Cincinnati beat Miami by 10, 27-17. Cleveland beat Baltimore in OT 12-9, first division win in 3 years, I think they said. So good for them. Detroit was just absolutely all over Green Bay. If I'm not mistaken, it was 24-0 at halftime, something like that. Green Bay tried to come back. Mason Crosby, he missed, I think it was 3 or 4 field goals. It was ridiculous how many field goals he missed. If he didn't miss all those field goals, I think it would have been a different game. Green Bay may have had a comeback of the century there. The Jets ended up just dominating the Broncos 30-16. I thought that was an odd one, but it works out for Kansas City fans. Pittsburgh just blew the brakes off of Atlanta 41-17, which I thought Atlanta would do a lot better job in that game. The Chargers beat the Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Chargers beat the Raiders 26-10. That was an onslaught. Minnesota beat Philadelphia 23-21. Arizona got their first win. They beat San Francisco 28-18. I thought San Francisco played better than that. The Rams barely got past the Seahawks 33-31. That was a close one. And then Sunday night game, the Battle of Texas. Houston won in overtime 19-16 over Dallas. And then, of course, the Monday night game. Shout out to Drew Brees. I like the guy. I think he's awesome. I think it would have been neat to see him play in Kansas City a little bit, but the Saints aren't dumb enough to let him go. But we got Mahomes now, so we're good. But Drew Brees, one of my all-time favorites. I grew up watching him. He had that massive shoulder injury when he played for San Diego, and they said his arm was hamburger and he'd never throw the ball again. Well, he passed up Peyton Manning on all-time passing yards, and he's also on pace to break his touchdown record as well. So Drew Brees is fixing to take over the quarterback world for all time. He's already hit one. He's in stride to hit another. So New Orleans ended up beating Washington 43-19. I watched the highlights not that long ago, and you'll have to excuse my dog. He's all riled up now since I'm home. But Alex Smith was typical Alex Smith. He got pressured. He looked like a cow on ice. He had a couple decent throws, but he just typical Alex Smith, man. 20 points a game if the defense can't hold him off. Well, and Washington actually had one of the best defenses in the league point wise. Actually, I think they were number one for allowing the least amount of points through the season. And they played Green Bay, and they played a couple tough opponents, but they lost to the Colts, and they played a damn good offense tonight, and they got blown out for it. I forgot. Kansas City blew Jacksonville out 30-14. Y'all know that because of the video I uploaded yesterday. So, since we got some time left on the video, we'll go into divisional standpoints now. Some of these divisions just look like complete garbage, man. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. But I know the AFC West runs right through Kansas City right now. And depending on what happens at New England this Sunday night, the AFC could be running through Kansas City. The entire AFC. So, pretty proud of the team. You know, the defense played well, and they brought down arguably the best defense in the league now that the Rams have kind of tapered off on defense. You look at the divisions. New England took back their division at 3-2. The Dolphins are 3-2 as well. Bills are 2-3 behind them. Jets are 2-3 behind that. So New England are 3-0 at home. Man, when the Patriots start playing hot like they are, scoring 38 points a game, Mahomes just going to have to outdo them. And they're 3-0 at home. Now, Mahomes has broke a lot of records so far. So maybe, you know, he can carry that magic over. But New England's, they have forced 133 points and they've allowed 108. They're 3-1 in the AFC conference, and they're 1-0 in their division. That's what puts them at the top. Cincinnati, of course, is leading their division at 4-1. Baltimore's behind them at 3-2. Cleveland's behind them at 2-1, and Pittsburgh's at the bottom at 2-1. So Cincinnati, another tough opponent. They got to play us at home though, after New England, and that's going to be a short week. Well, no, it's not. We got to play Sunday night though. They're going to be a tough opponent. They're also 2-0 at home. They're 2-1 on the road, so not bad. Their only loss would be to Carolina, which was kind of a shocker. Tennessee is actually in the head of their division at 3-2. Jacksonville's behind them at 3-2. Tennessee's 2-0 at home. A lot of home. Yeah, man. That's crazy. A lot of undefeated teams at home, really. They're also 2-0 in the AFC conference. And then, of course, you get down to the AFC West, and Kansas City is sitting high and mighty at 5-0. 2-0 at home, 3-0 on the road, 2-0 in the division, 4-0 in the conference. That's a big one. 4-0 in the AFC conference. That is a big one. Moving on down, you got the Los Angeles Chargers at 3-2. They're 2-1 at home, 1-1 on the road. They're 1-1 in the division, and they're 2-1 in the conference. Denver's behind them. Basically the same thing, but they're 0-2 on the road. And they're also 1-3 in the AFC conference, and so is Oakland. But Oakland's sitting at 1-4. They're 0-3 on the road, and they are 0-2 in the division. Going on down to the NFC, we're going to start it off with the trash bag division, the NFC East. The Washington Redskins, 2-2, are leading this division. Good Lord. Dallas is behind them at 2-3, and that's because Washington had an early bye week. Them and Carolina had a bye week, week 4. Philadelphia is at 2-3. New York Giants at 1-4. NFC North. The Detroit Lions actually helped out the Bears here by knocking off Green Bay. The Chicago Bears are 3-1 at the top of their division. Packers are 2-2. Minnesota Vikings are 2-2, and the Detroit Lions are 2-3. NFC South. New Orleans at 4-1. Carolina 3-1. They were also on the bye week in week 4. Man, I think New Orleans is going to take this division again. They had Carolina by the ass last year, and they both played really good. And New Orleans had them by the ass last year, and I think they'll do it again this year. Tampa Bay's 2-2, and then rounded out with Atlanta at 1-4, and that really surprises me. But Atlanta has had a tough schedule. Them getting blown out by Pittsburgh, even though it was at Pittsburgh, I didn't see that happening, though. That kind of surprised me. And the Rams, of course, they are way ahead in their division. 5-0. Seattle's 2-3 underneath them in second place, and then Arizona's 1-4. San Francisco's 1-4. San Francisco don't really have a starting quarterback, so they're kind of out of it. They're kind of like the Raiders right now. They're just pushed out, really. So that's where everything's sitting. We're kind of with the Rams there. We're sitting high and mighty in the division. Nobody's really, everybody's about 2 games behind us, if not more. So that's a really good place to be. Then, of course, if you go to the conference, Kansas City's number 1 in the AFC at 5-0. Cincinnati's number 2 at 4-1. New England's number 3 at 3-2. And Tennessee's actually at number 4 at 3-2. And believe it or not, the Chargers are at number 5 at 3-2. So that's interesting. And everybody that said the NFC is overpowered this year, it's anecdotal, man. I've seen AFC teams just wiping their ass on NFC teams this year. Pittsburgh, Atlanta. I've seen the AFC just mopping the floor with the NFC. But if you look at the NFC, they got more teams that are honestly better in win and loss records. The Rams 5-0, Saints 4-1, Chicago Bears 3-1, Panthers 3-1, Redskins at 2-2. So yeah, I mean they got better win-loss records across the board, but I have seen AFC teams just straight mopping ass. I mean, once you start getting a 2-2, it's just 2-2 straight across the board. You got a lot of 3-2s in the AFC. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to do my Week 6 picks right after this video. And then eventually, before the New England game, I'll have the keys to victory. I got to do a little bit of research on that. But that's going to be a tough game either way. So I'm going to do the Week 6 picks.